heart. Like the brother said, we must be kingdom-minded. We must be kingdom-minded. So as you pour your heart out to us, remember that we are with you. So,
Amen.
Amen.
God bless you. We love you, Richard.
Love you too. Love you
Amen.
too. For those who don't know me, my name is Rich, and I always told myself if God ever gave me a platform or give me an opportunity, I take it wholeheartedly to share the love of Christ.
Amen.
Here I am today. You guys could be anywhere in the world, but you're here today to worship the Lord. Thank you all for being here. So, I just like to tell you right now that I'm going to give it to you raw. It's the only way I can do it, and the only way I know. So, if anybody knows me or anything about my life, they would know that I haven't had the easiest life growing up. Things have been hard. Life has been a struggle, but I'm pretty sure most people can say that for all you to be true. Life isn't easy. So, growing up as a kid, I have two older brothers, and we grew up with our mother. Our mother had custody of us when we were kids, so she pretty much raised us. And as we grew older, my mother had gotten sick. As she's gotten sick, she started to get worse. So as I was a little kid, I remember growing up in the hospital, constantly being in and out, in and out, in and out, my mother getting sick. And as she got worse, my grandma tended to take a bigger role in our life and helped us out by raising us. And she took my two brothers in, and because it was too much of a barrier, my mother to raise us all at the same time. And so as my mother got sick, there was days I remember coming home from school and just seeing her in bed.
Come on.
You know, I think of these things aren't normal every day when you come home and you see your mom throwing up and you see her, you having to help her to the bathroom, help her get changed, you know. You're in 5th grade and you got to wake yourself up for school every day. But to me, those things were normal. You know, that was life for me every day. But she got sicker and sicker and sicker, and eventually she passed away. And that just broke my heart. So I didn't have it easy growing up. Neither of my brothers, you know, we had it rough, and it was tough. I remember after my mom passed away, my brothers lived with my grandma and grandpa, and I had been living with my uncle for a year until my grandma bought a house and brought us all in. And at that point in life, spiraling out of control, you know, I was a broken kid, didn't have much to live for in my point of view, so I started acting out, doing stupid things, you know, doing drugs. But by the time I was in 6th grade, I was smoking weed, you know, 7th grade, drinking every day on the weekends. You know, by the time I was in 8th grade, I was, you know, drinking all the time, smoking weed every day. You know, I was in high school. When I was 14 years old, I started selling weed, and a lot of it, to the point where I started getting cocky and arrogant and having things and money and women and girls, and 14 years old, you know, thinking I'm the man, you know. By the time I'm 17 years old, I'm driving a Cadillac, you know, like who? I think I'm so cool in high school, selling drugs, driving a Cadillac, and that's when life was just, for me, it was to the point where I just didn't care anymore. So drugs became part of my life. So I was at the point where drinking every day, smoking every day, and then I developed a problem with popping prescription pills. And when I say problem, I don't mean here and there, once in a while. I mean every day, to the point where it consumed my life. I was taking Xanax, Percocets, Oxycontins every single day. I mean, if you've seen The Walking Dead, that was me. I was a walking zombie every day of my life, and everybody knew it. I was constantly on drugs, and I remember when I was at a party, I was 17 years old, and I was at a party one day, and I was on my way home, drunk, messed up on pills, and I was coming home, and I didn't make it home that day. I was driving home, and I was a block away from my house, and I had gotten into a car accident. Unfortunately, my actions took the life of somebody. So I ended up in county jail. I was there not really quite understanding what was happening. About 2 or 3 days later, I have a court hearing, and they tell me that the lady passed away, which broke my heart. But then I found out that not only did she pass away, but she had a daughter. So when I found out that I took a mother away from somebody, it was just, it's too much for me to handle. Like, growing up in life without a mom, and then knowing the fact that I did that to somebody else, it just broke me completely. And I didn't know what to do, didn't know how to handle the situation. But a couple weeks later, I get out on bail, and I'm on bail, still going to high school. So that's a rough situation when you're the kid on bail. You're going to high school, everybody knows who you are, everybody knows what you're going through. You're the kid that killed somebody, you're the kid that messed up, you know, so whispers constantly. But that was my everyday life. I was on bail for 2 years, so it's not like it was quick, fast, in a hurry, you know. This was a prolonged situation. And if I thought I was lost before during those 2 years, boy, I was lost more than I could ever be. I went from being a drug addict then to being 10 times worse because I did not know how to deal with the situation. And drugs was my only way out. It's my only escape. So I thought. So, you know, anybody who knew me could see me like that every day, but they didn't want to tell me anything because they were like, who am I to tell him what he's going through right now? I could just imagine. So everybody just, you know, stayed their way, stayed their distance from me and let me do me. So 2 years later, I end up getting sentenced. I go to prison. I get sentenced to a 15-year sentence. And knew it was coming, so it's nothing that shocked me. I knew it was going to happen. And, you know, I accept the responsibility. I messed up and I knew it. And I spent my first 3 years at RIOC, if anybody knows where that is. That's on North Memorial. I went there to RCI, which is in Sturtevant. Spent 4 years there. And during my 4th year there, it's a medium security prison. If anybody knows anything about prisons, it goes in levels of your security. Minimum, medium, maximum, supermax. When I was in RCI, I was a medium, and they had posted something up that said, Boscoville, Wisconsin is looking for a barber. We're running a new barber program, and we're trying to start it up. So I said, hey, I want to go. If anybody knows anything about Boscoville, well, you don't want to know. Boscoville is a super maximum security prison. And 23-hour lockdown, shower in your room, everything like that. You don't come out. And I volunteered to go. I didn't have any doubts or anything whatsoever. I said, I need out. I've been in my backyard for 7 years. I need to change. I need to move on. I need to move on in life. I need to, you know, get this mentality of Racine out of my head. You know, so I volunteered to go, and they accepted me. And I was the first one in the state of Wisconsin to voluntarily, crazily, go from a medium security prison to super maximum security prison. So I went there, and while I was there, I started cutting hair and stuff, and I slowly noticed that distractions started to disappear out of my life. And my friends that I lost, they started to disappear out of my life. And I was like secluded, basically, you know, in the middle of nowhere, nobody's there, really don't got family at all, even contact, because this place is just so far away. And so when I decided to make a decision, and I said, you know, I want to start learning more about this God guy. You know, I always believed in God. I always knew who he was. I never had a relationship with him, though. But I'm interested. So I remember filling out this piece of paperwork that could give me a free Bible. So I filled it out, and a couple weeks later, my Bible came in the mail. Started reading it here and there. I had a lot of free time on my hands, so started reading it, and God started opening up to me. He started showing me things, showing me who's who and what's what. And that's when the first time in my life that something came and I understood something for a split second. That God wanted me to take those distractions out of my life because he knew that he needed me. And he needed all of me. He needed all of my attention. He needed all of my focus. He needed me. He needed me God myself. This is the only way they could do it. So when I say that I accepted voluntarily to go to Boscoville, this was in the works the whole time. It wasn't just me saying, I'm going to go. It was God placing that in my heart that I needed to be at this place at this certain time in my life. So I started reading the Bible more and more, and I remember being in my cell one day, and I heard some news from home that my grandfather was in the hospital. And my grandfather, who raised me pretty much, the best man I know, love him with all my heart, he was sick, and he was having blood clots. And they didn't know if he was going to pull through or not. And by me being there, not knowing I had communication with anybody, didn't know what was going on or nothing, I remember that night I was broken down, and I remember being on my knees and praying, and I was just, with all my heart, all my soul, I just spoke out to God and said, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this on my own. My whole life I've tried to take everything in, and I tried to make it work the way I wanted to make it work.
Come on.
I tried to do things my way. I tried to make the best out of the situations the way that I saw it fit. And I just couldn't do it anymore. I was in a pit situation where I had no control. And I said, if there's somebody that's got control, I know who it is. And I just spoke out to him with all my heart and all my soul, and I said, I need your help. I cannot do this. I need your help. Please, Lord, if there's something you can do for me, just help me in the situation right now, because I need you, and I know who you are, and I know what you can do. And that night was just, it was something where I cried, and I cried, and I cried. And 2 days later, I get a letter in the mail from this girl. This was a girl that had wrote me for 5 years. She wrote me for 5 years, my first 5 years in the joint, she wrote me. She was always in a relationship, met her in high school, about 6 months before I went to prison. She was always in a relationship, and she wrote me every week for 5 years straight. We became friends, straight friends, we got to know each other really good, and we were really good friends. And then she stopped writing me after 5 years, and never once did I have any animosity or any ill will or any negative thoughts. She was my friend, and I understood life goes on. She had 3 kids at the time and was in a relationship, like I said, so I didn't feel any way. But 2 days later, after I prayed to the Lord for help, I get a letter from her. And now let me say this whole 5 years that she wrote me and we wrote each other, never once did we talk about God. Never once did we have a conversation that said, hey, do you know Jesus? Or said anything about God. Not once. So I open this letter, and as soon as I open it, the first thing it says, hey, do you know who Jesus is?
Woo! Come on.
I said, put the letter down, and I just look up and I go, well, this isn't a sign, and I gotta be the stupidest man in the world. And so first words I read were, do you know who Jesus is? And I'm just like, wow. Now if you think about this, I was asking God and praying for help. And God will use people in your lives that you will least expect. And God will send helpers in the way he sees fit. And he knew that right now I just needed somebody to be a friend. I needed somebody to be there for me and help me. And he sent this woman. So she starts talking about God, and I go, hey, start writing her back, say, hey, you know what, that's interesting, because I just started to get interested in God myself. So we start writing each other, and our conversations are strictly about the Lord. And she starts motivating me to read more. I start motivating her to read more. And next thing I know, we're writing each other 2 times a week, 3 times a week. It's back and forth, and we become, it's like we never stopped writing each other. We picked up exactly where we left on a friendship level, but we got 10 times closer because God sent this. And I remember being in a Bible study with one of my mentors, and he had described something to me when I was describing her to him. He said, in relationships, he described a triangle to me. So he draws a triangle, and he points to the top of the triangle, and he draws a cross. He said, the top of this triangle is Christ. And you're at the bottom of this triangle, and the person you're in a relationship with is at the other side of this triangle. And our ultimate goal is to find Christ. Now, as we find Christ, and if we do this together, the closer we get to God, the closer we grow together. So, when he told me that, I was just like, it's absolutely right. Because the closer that we did get to God, the closer that we did grow together, and the closer that we felt love for the first time in our lives. And once you realize that God is working in your life, and he's touching your life, it's unlike any other feeling that you've ever had before. You can hear somebody talk about God, you can hear stories, you can read books, you can read the Word, which is the best thing you can possibly do. But once you feel the love of God working in your life, there's no other way to describe it. There's no other way to describe it. And once I started seeing us getting closer to God, I started seeing things change into my life. I started seeing me letting go of old things, and I started seeing new things happen into my life. I was in Boscoville, Wisconsin, in a place that was the most secure place in the state of Wisconsin. I was in my 10th year in prison, 9th year in prison in a row, and I have never felt more free in my life.
No.
I got to know God on a personal level, and that's the first thing. You know, I may not look the part. I got tattoos everywhere,
Don't matter.
hats or whatever, whatnot. I may not look the part, but God doesn't look for people who look the part. God seeks people for their heart. He wants to use these people to branch out to save other people like me, like you. Because I know I'm not the only one out there who struggled in life. I know this. There's more of us out there, and we have a responsibility to do. If God is showing our love to us, we have a responsibility to put that love on others and show them the grace and love of God that he has showed to us, because that's our responsibility as Christians. And I remember that as me and this woman got closer and closer and closer and closer together, happiness was just there. And problems started to go away. I stopped worrying about trying to do everything on my own, and God was just opening up doors for me. He was just kicking them down. He was taking all the strongholds in my life and stopped making me worry about all the things that I used to torment me in my head. What am I going to do when I get out? How am I going to do this? I've been in prison for so long. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get out. And I just remember him always telling me, just trust me. Just trust me. Just trust me. And that's hard for anybody to say. How are you going to trust somebody who's going into a situation blind? You don't know what's going to happen to you. You know, you're in prison. You've been in here for so long. You don't know what's going to happen. But when God told me to trust him, I said, well, last time I prayed out for you, you sent somebody for help. So I know that anything I've ever done in my life, I've ruined. I know anything you've ever done for me in my life, you've done for me, has been great so far. So I'm going to trust you with this too. I'm going to see where this goes. And we just keep seeking, and we keep seeking, and we keep seeking. And everything has just been a lot easier since I've been trusting in God. And I spent 11 years in the joint prison. Sorry about that. I came out, and I remember God telling me before I got out, I remember him telling me that everything that I ever had, everything that I had ever lost, everything that I had ruined with my own hands, I remember him telling me that, son, I'm going to give you everything back. And I'm going to give you everything back tenfold. And I believed him. This is the thing, it wasn't just me sitting here saying, it could happen. This might happen, you know, like, no. Like, I truly believe that my life was going to change, and my life will change. And it has. It has so much. Anybody who's known me has known that I'm not the same person I am now that I was when I was a teenager. I'm 32 years old now, And I could say easily without a shadow of a doubt, the things that held me back when I was young, the addictions, the drugs, the strongholds, I don't have a temptation in the world. Praise God, praise Jesus, to go back to the old me. I don't think about drinking. I don't think about doing none of that bad stuff anymore because it's not a part of me because God made me new. God made me whole. He showed me what life could be as long as I trusted in Him and walked with Him. And that person that I was talking about, that female, she tends to be sitting right here right now. And she's the love of my life. And we are happily married now. So when I say that God was going to give me back everything that I ever lost, He absolutely did, because I inherited 3 wonderful children who I love with all my heart and soul, and they mean everything to me. We're married, and we have 1 child on the way in 11 days. So God has renewed, restored, and He has blessed me so much. But the thing is, it's not just what God has done for me. It's not just what God can do for me.
Come on.
This is what our God can do for all of you guys. Because He is a God of love, He is a God of mercy, He is a God of compassion. And this is the God that we serve. Because He is a loving God, and He wants the best for each and every one of us. And we just got to believe in that wholeheartedly with our hearts. And that first step is sometimes the hardest. That first step is the one that you have to do, but it's having that personal relationship with the Lord. It's taking that time to get to know Him and understand who He truly is. Because once you start to realize who He truly is, you'll feel the love in your life, and you'll see doors kicked down, and you'll see windows open, and you'll just see the grace in your life just spread. And I just want to say that I'm glad everybody's here today, because this is something that's been put on my heart for a while now, and I just wanted to share my testimony because Jesus Christ is great and God is good.